All right, perfect, and we're back. Okay, so we're just going to do a brief thing on ranking program choices. Now, what I'm most familiar with is the UAC system because that's what I used when I applied to both York University and Ryerson for both of my programs. But basically, with the UAC service, you would rank your three choices or three program choices or three schools as Sandy mentioned earlier. And on the common questions section in the UAC website, it says that ranking does matter to a certain degree if you are enrolling in a limited enrollment program. So it says that admission officials use this data to project the number of applicants who are likely to accept offers of admission, because many people apply for the various program choices that you are considering applying to, and ranking is one way for a school to look to see what kind of options you're considering and whether the school is a top choice or maybe a little bit lower down on your list. So right now we're going to take a break for questions. We have a few. So I'm going to launch a poll and we will go through some of the questions. So this question I have is, when filling out your application, did you consider a safety school? So a safety school is a backup school. Did you consider a school for as part of your backup plan? Okay, so now let's move on to some of the questions that we have. Let's see. Will you be explaining how acceptance or of admittance works if you are waiting on? Okay, so either Lori or Sandy, do you have anything to respond to this in terms of what happens when you're waiting for your for the deadline dates and everything, and you start receiving offers? What should happen? What's the next step?
Well, if you get multiple offers, it's that's a bonus in terms of choosing the school acceptance in the school that you want to go to. So that is a huge decision, which can be daunting for some students. But in terms of making that choice, carry through with your acceptance. If you have not received an offer after a few weeks, feel free to contact any admissions offices to check on the status of your application. Do you have anything else to add there? Lori, any insights from British Columbia?
Yeah, I can't really comment on the actual acceptance of admissions because we don't deal with that. But I can talk about the technical end. When you're dealing with an online admissions system, there can be technical issues. So I would advise to definitely, if you haven't heard in a certain frame time, contact the admissions office, because sometimes technology gets in the way and the application might not have been delivered. So definitely, if you haven't received a letter or an auto email of some sort, check on that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, both Sandy and Lori. Okay, so what are some prerequisites for medical school? Okay, in order to answer that question, one good way to do it is just simply to go to the School Finder website and have a look to see what's available. In terms of medical school in general, you would need to write an MCAT exam, which is the exam to be part of the medical college, but also it technically doesn't matter, or at least it has been officially stated that there isn't a particular program that you need to go into in order to attend medical school. Like, there are certain science programs you may wish to take in order to succeed on the MCAT exam, but in terms of prerequisites for medical school, there technically aren't any except for the MCAT exam and your university degree. But again, it's best to check with the medical school that you're interested in applying to, and you can do so through the School Finder website. There may be some extra supplementary applications that you may be missing. All right. Okay, Sandy or Lori, what are the benefits of obtaining early admittance to a school?
I would always advise the students I've worked with in Winnipeg and Saskatchewan to apply early, and basically for two major reasons. They can just get the stress out of the way of applying. That's a nervous time for students sometimes. I think they feel relieved if they just get the process going because they're later on after into January, February, when the deadlines, the final program deadlines are coming up for many programs, they just feel better that they have it taken care of. And also for many students who are academic, there are advantages to applying early to some institutions in terms of entrance scholarships and obtaining some monies and funding for their programs and for the university careers.
Okay, perfect. We have one question about centralized application process. So for example, an Ontario student applying to a school in Alberta or BC, do they apply to the school directly, or does an out-of-province student have to use the centralized system to apply to their school of choice?
Well, in British Columbia, you have the option. That's what's different between BC and I'm not sure about Alberta, but it sounds like Ontario. So you can do it either way. Again, the advantage of going through Apply BC is if you're going to apply to more than one institution, it's a little bit less work because you're just putting in the common information once.
And if I might add, with UAC in Ontario, they require out-of-province students also need to apply through UAC. And when out-of-province students apply, students who live outside of Ontario, when they apply through UAC, there is a specific form online that they will utilize and fill in, which will be slightly different than the form that Ontario residents will use.
Okay, we have another question about applications. Do all Canadian universities send an acknowledgement letter, like saying we received your application, or just or does only the BC schools do that?
In my experience,
I don't have an.
I was just going to say, it varies from institution to institution. Some will send a letter. That's most common, but also some will use electronic means and send emails. So be careful to watch for that technology to come through. It might fail at times, but the letter is usually the method of choice.
Yeah. Okay. And we had a comment from one of our attendees stating that for rankings in Ontario for the UAC system, sometimes there are situations when it matters. In others, it is due to scholarship offers, so students who rank a school first may receive a scholarship offer from that particular school. And also there could be limits to guaranteed residence if you do not place a school first. So thank you for that. I can't really see who the question asker person is, but thank you for your feedback on that. That is very important and good to know. Okay, we do have more questions to be answered, but I'm going to continue with our presentation. We can address some questions at the end. We're reaching about the 3/4 mark, so I'm just going to finish off the rest of it. And it looks like 54% of you said that yes, you have picked a safety school, which is very, very important. So about half of you have picked a safety school, and that's really interesting because I picked a safety school too.